Guys, so we started out by just walking and I was trying to get his head down and it was going really well. So this was an eq on the flat and it was going pretty well. My shoulders are a little bit rounded, but we'll get to what we did later. So I was just going around and then they called for a canter around here, I think, or maybe a walk. And it was really busy, so they just called for a walk. And then up to the canter, and Hans doesn't actually have a walk to canter transition. That's one thing that I have always really struggled to get with him. And it's just not one of his specialties. I worked on it for a while, so I placed, so they only placed to 8th place, obviously. So there were 10 people in the class, and I placed either 9th or 10th, since they didn't finish calling. So I got either second last or last, which is okay. And my trainer said that I probably would have gotten a little bit of a higher placing if my shoulders hadn't rounded so much. And then we were trying to figure out why my shoulders were so round, because that's one thing that I've always really struggled with. So then we started thinking about it, because it was a while until my over fences. So after we thought about it, we were like, it seems like it's all really tight through the muscles around your collarbones. And something you guys may or may not know is that I've actually broken 3 collarbones. Well, obviously only have 2. So I've broken my right one twice and then my left one once. So we were like, why don't we just try stretching? So I did a couple of stretches and we found out that it was actually really tight. So all through like my shoulders and my upper back and my lower back now, it's all like super tight, which is part of the reason why I guess I run my back so much. So we stretched that out a little bit, and then my shoulders actually sat like back where they're supposed to when you're riding. And then I'd say that made a huge difference in my eq over fences. I'd say that my seat got just a lot later from that, and also my jumping position, I'd say. So I'll just let you guys see what you think that for yourself, but that's just a little something to catch you up. So here's my round from this day. So since it was equitation over fences, you do want to be just a little bit handy, so I stayed inside to my very first fence, and it came up really nicely, and you can see that I didn't throw my body at him, and that my seat looks a little bit lighter than normal, and my shoulders are a little more up. So if you've been following my channel a while, you could probably see a little bit of a difference. So my trainer had said just stay around for the first class there, because that was a pretty tight corner to make. So I jumped in nicely, and I jumped out nicely. Everything was going really, really well with this trip so far. Then my seat got a little bit heavy there, but I corrected it nicely towards the jump, and I had to settle a little bit for the out, but it was still really nice. And then I turned inside to my diagonal oxer there, which is my very last jump. So 1, 2. So that came up really nicely, and we landed our lead, and I could have gone a little farther into my corner, but it worked out nicely. Now I've just trotted. Then here's my second course, so I wanted to be a little more handy with this one. So I stayed inside again to my first fence, which was a little bit of a tighter corner. And then I found a really nice, gentle, quiet distance, and then I stayed inside to my line this time, and it was probably the tightest turn I did all day. So 1, 2, 4. So I made the right number of strides. Then I stayed inside again to my oxer, and it wasn't as straight this time, but it still came up lovely. Then I asked for a lead change, and Hans swapped up nicely for me. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That came out really lovely. And then I bowed a little bit. 1, 2. And then I still stayed out here because it was a tight turn and I didn't want to ruin such a great trip that I was having. So 1. And then I got a little left behind on the out, but since I had my shoulders up, I was actually able to follow him when I got left behind. So it looked a little bit better than my normal get left behind. Then I came back and it was absolutely pouring. Yep. And in case you're wondering, that is all rain. There was no hail. That is all rain. So a couple of the horses were getting a little bit antsy. Poppy was actually sleeping during this. And then here's when it got like really, really bad. And I was standing under a cover. And Hans had to come back like just before this. Like when I was going, it started to rain a little bit. And then when we were walking back, it started to rain a little more. And like just before we got like all in the shelter, then it started like downpouring. So this is just like a clip of that. And then while the rain was going, I decided to film Poppy. And she was being just in a little bit of a mood today. So I was just trying to cheer her up. I gave her a little mint. And then the skies were a little clearer now. And for some reason, she always licks the stall after I give her a mint. So that's what you can see her doing here. And then she was still a little grumpy, I feel like. So I just kind of gave her some pets. And then after I gave her a little bit of cuddles. And she was being a really good girl. And then I decided to save like just the random perspective of her. And there was a couple kind of adorable moments. But most of it's just a black screen because Poppy was eating the camera. And then here was my course walk. So I'm walking with my trainer, and this is like the medal that I was walking. So this one was like a true medal class. So I walked a 9 or a 10. Since this was like a long line, my trainer said just make a 9 or a 10, and I believe I made 10. And then I was going to stay inside to my little 2 stride, which she jumped super lovely when we actually did the course. And then if I could try to stay inside there to my little red flower vertical. And then I was going to bend up to the top with that little white jump with the yellow flowers. And then I was going to go inside to my green. And then there was kind of this spooky skinny jump that comes up next. So my trainer said that I need to keep my leg on since she's still green. Like, she's only 7. So we need to give her a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. So I picked up my canter and I went in between the 2 stride like our plan was. And then we had a really good first fence. I found a little bit of a quiet distance, but it worked out well. And then I asked for lead change, and she was really good about this one. So I found another quiet distance, and today she was super tired. So and then I had a really quiet distance out, but that was okay. And then I stayed inside to my 2 stride. And I found a nice distance in, and she jumped the out. So cute. And then I went deep into my corner, and I forgot about that little inside turn there, but that's okay. So I went to my red flowers, and it worked out really lovely. And then I had a little bit of a chip, and then kind of missed our lead change. I got it a couple steps into the corner, which was pretty lucky, but we still got it, which I was happy with. And then I had a nice distance to my little green here. And then she started to look at this jump. So we had just a little bit of a run out, which I could have prevented probably if I just had my leg on a little more. But I just saw my distance and I got a little bit soft. So that's what happened there. But it's not that she was bad or anything. It's just that she had an opportunity. So I came around and I gave her a little more of a wider track. And she jumped it really lovely. And then she broke to the trot twice in a row. And I couldn't get her started. And then these were 2 photos of my ribbons that I got on Hans. So I guess in the US, a white is a 4th and a green is a 6th. But generally in Canada, that's a 3rd and a 5th. So yeah, those were my placings from today.